Rebel on the radio, baby.
This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today.
I'm going to guarantee you're going to invite me back, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not saying that we won't. I mean, I was going to just start by saying I don't really know much about flat Earth. I obviously understand the concept, the basic concept, but I'm not going to try and sort of persuade you, because I'm sure you've spoken to so many different people and scientists and God knows what. So there's all these things you're gonna know so much more about it than me. So I could embarrass myself at times. I did expect you to look a bit different. I thought you might have a cloak on or something like that. Yeah. But
wait, let me just unwind. Let me unwind what you said.
Yeah,
the first thing you said, I don't know much about flat Earth. Well, that makes you way ahead of the people that think they know about flat Earth. Okay, because they're wrong. And then we've spoken to scientists. Yeah, there's most of the real, the real scientists, which are the pseudoscientists, they won't talk to us because they know we'll destroy them.
Right. Well, okay, that's an interesting point. How long have you been into it, though, David? Let's just get back to the beginning. When did you become a flat earther?
I was dragged in kicking and screaming like most people. Flat Earth, dumbest thing on the world, right? Dumbest thing. There's a million proofs of the globe. There's no proof of flat Earth, and you're stupid because we've known about it for 6,000 years. Unwind that. We haven't known about it for 6,000 years. It was less than 100 years ago that everybody knew the Earth was flat. They were teaching it in public schools there across the world, all across the United States in the 1920s, 1930s. Right. Flat Earth. I know. Amazing. I interviewed a 102-year-old woman named Ruth back in February of 2020. And I was interviewing her about something else, never mentioned flat Earth. And she had such a great memory of her 5th birthday party. I asked her where she went to school, the teachers' names, the school, the road it was on, the kids in her class. And I said, what did they teach you in science class about the Earth? And she said they taught the Earth was flat, but then they changed it years later. And so this takeover happened in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Everyone in the world knew the Earth was flat, but the priest scientist class have hijacked it. And we'll save it for the end. But why the lie? It's the most important lie they have. It's how they control us.
Why would they change their mind? And what's the point in sort of hiding it if the Earth's flat? Why bother?
Well, we can dive right into that. First, really quickly, what is the flat Earth? If you Google flat Earth, you end up at what's called the Flat Earth Society, or images from the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society will show you that, hey, the Earth is a pancake, but all the other planets are round, right? That's probably in your head.
Is that true? Is that the case?
No, not at all. This is the dumbest thing ever. If flat earthers saw that, I would join you and make fun of them 24/7, because this is the dumbest thing ever. No flat earther thinks this. You Google images of flat Earth and you're going to end up with a bunch of, domed flying pancakes. Nobody thinks that at all. So what is the flat Earth if it's not a disk in space? Well, think about this. The Earth isn't flat because it has hills and valleys, but we live on a flat plane. The Earth is 70% water. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, scientifically testably, provably flat. So if there's a ton of water comes in, rain, whatever you want to call it, flood, does it stay at the top of a hill, or where does it go? It goes to the bottom of the hill. It goes to water, relentlessly seeks its ultimate base level. And then it creates a puddle or a pond or a lake, just bigger and bigger. So a lake sits in the basin of higher land, right? You with me?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up. Yeah, you've done this. I can tell you've done this a fair few times. You know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm trying to catch up.
I'm not going to say anything confusing. I'm just going to explain. And here's the problem. Schooling has turned people's brains into cardboard, okay? Because they didn't teach us how to think. They told us, repeat this and you get an A. Memorize and repeat and you get an A. Memorize, it's indoctrination camp. You don't learn. So what is the flat Earth? We live in the Antarctic basin. They never taught you in school that Antarctica, go look it up, is the highest continent on Earth. They want you to believe Antarctica is an island at the bottom of a ball, right? About 12, 13,000 miles in circumference, when in fact, Antarctica is the edge of our lake. all of the continents in our lake are surrounded by water, right? Just think about it. Water surrounds us. So we're all these islands.
So we're sitting in a lake.
The edge of the lake is the land that we call Antarctica. It's not an ice wall like you hear in Game of Thrones, but it is very wall-like in Antarctica. When you get there, most of the shoreline is a big cliff of ice and then an extended plain. So, and there's videos and pictures of it. You can look it up yourself. That's one thing that they're not really hiding, but there's not a lot of videos of it. But Antarctica is the land that surrounds us. So here's the question I have for you. What's beyond the edge of the lake? People go, well, you fall off the edge of the earth. Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, he convinced you, to ask that stupid question. Well, if you're on a lake sailing around and you sail to the edge of the lake, can you fall off the lake?
I don't think there is a lake. What's beyond the wall?
Yeah, what's beyond the shoreline? Call it the shoreline. It's not a wall. What's beyond the Antarctic shoreline, which is like a cliff, and then here's the thing.
On your
nobody
picture there, it's green beyond.
Here's the thing. So this white area here, that's 1,000 miles. Okay, so no one is allowed to explore Antarctica. It's off limits, right? In late 1950s, Admiral Byrd flew out over Antarctica, and he said, there's land bigger than the United States beyond the poles. Wait a minute, beyond the pole? How do you go beyond the pole, right? Because isn't like the pole's like the bottom, and it's filled with resources, and no human has ever set eyes upon it. And then he was silenced, and a year later he died. Weird, right? And then Antarctic Treaty went into effect. A dozen or so countries signed on. Now they've all signed on. And the Antarctic Treaty says nobody is allowed to go beyond 60 degrees south, right? No one is allowed to go there. No independent exploration, no corporations, no oil companies, no nothing. And you can't question this treaty until the year 2041. You can't even question it. No treaty has held up. This is the only treaty that's held up. In the 50s and 60s, we're at war fighting for resources. There's uncharted, unclaimed land filled with resources, but they go, we have to protect the penguins.
I'm just going to try and crowbar a question in.
Go ahead.
Where does space fit in to this idea then? So would you say where does that fit in?
So outer space, the only thing that's been to outer space is your imagination, right? So what is outer space? Well, maybe the world is set up where we're in this pond. Antarctica is land that surrounds the pond, and beyond Antarctica, there's more space. There's more land. What would you call more land? Extra land.
Well, that's
extra territory. Hear me out. Extra territory. Well, if somebody lived in the extra territory in the outer space, you might call them an extraterrestrial if they came to visit, right?
Yeah. What about other planets? So
is south. There are no other planets. See, this is a hard one. It was hard for me at the beginning, but the only thing that we have been shown, NASA is the only one that shows us planets, right? Although, hey, I could look up in the sky and I could see a light. Well, NASA shows us these beautiful artistic balls, but you take the highest power zoom lenses and look, and that's not what you're seeing at all. So what are planets? They're lights within our sky. The only thing you can honestly say about anything above our head that's not an airplane or a balloon is they're lights. They're luminaries. We don't know what they are, but you've looked out and seen Mars in the sky, yes?
I've seen lots of stuff in the sky.
Yeah. So if you go out and find out, get a little planet finder, and it'll accurately show you, hey, that's Mars. Look at it. It's the brightest star in the sky, right? It's the brightest star in the sky. And, we look at our sun, it's the size of maybe a coin, a nickel or a quarter held at arm's length, right? That's how we see the sun. If you're on Mars, the sun's tiny because you're so much farther away. You have to believe that tiny, almost star-like sun is lighting up that dusty, dirty planet, and it's reflecting back to Earth brighter than any star. That makes no sense. That breaks the laws of all laws of physics, the inverse square law of light. It would have to be so much brighter than the brightness that we see it. That doesn't make any sense. But
there's a lot of things with space and stuff that are sort of tough to get your head around. I mean, that's sort of the idea of infinity, for example, is one that we can't sort of understand. So it's sort of acceptable that it's not. What you're describing is a sort of. I can't remember the name of that Jim Carrey film where he's on a
The
TV
Truman
show.
Show.
It sounds like that. That is what you're saying.
Oh, 100%. The truth in the movies lies in the news, my friend. The news is full of lies, and movies and cartoons are filled with truth. For some reason, they're always telling us what they're doing. So, we live in this domed, we believe there's a dome. Here's the thing. Anything above where we can reach as civilians or beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. There's tons of evidence to show that we're right. We all agree that we're not on a spinning ball in a space vacuum. That's just impossible. It doesn't make any sense. How can you have a high pressure? We're on the outside of a spinning ball with gas pressure. You need a container for pressure. You can't have gas pressure without a container. And next to an infinite space vacuum. Doesn't work. And then the only explanation you have is gravity. Well, I can take a straw and drink water and suck air up and away from Earth with the weak, low pressure of my lungs and mouth, but gravity can somehow hold it on from the infinite vacuum of space. Makes no sense.
Well, what about all these scientists then? Are they all in on it?
What scientists?
Well, like NASA, you mentioned them. I mean,
yeah. So NASA isn't scientists. NASA stands for not a space agency. They're a Hollywood studio. No one's ever been up in a rocket. It's ridiculous. NASA has been caught faking space on the International Fake Station so many times. It's ridiculous. I'm showing here for those that, if anyone's watching this, so most of you aren't, they brought a lemon up there and they were playing with it. And you can see that it's actually CGI. It's called augmented reality. They're manipulating not fake objects and maneuvering them around like they're real. It's common technology. You can get the software yourself and do it yourself. And they've been caught faking weightlessness, hanging from harnesses, getting caught in their wires when they're doing flips, CGI objects that glitch out, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. And with the like the billionaires at the moment, there's a few of them deciding to sort of pop up there. If you had the opportunity to join Branson on a trip onto the edge, would you do it? Would that sort of change your views?
So Branson and Bezos are in our billionaire class. They're in on this. They never went to space. They didn't even go in the ship that we saw them. They went into a zero-G plane. You know what a zero-G plane is? A plane that does a parabolic arc and you get like 25 to 40 seconds of weightlessness.
Yeah.
That's all we saw. We saw, they had 4.5 minutes of weightlessness. That's what they said, or 4 minutes, whatever. Where's the unedited video of that? Go back, watch the rocket, Bezos with his phallic shaped rocket, and go and watch the video. You're looking at it right now. They have this really jerky motion. It's kind of weird. They're kind of putting this in our faces. They love their sexual innuendos, and that's what's going on. But go watch and find anything longer than 5 seconds of them floating in space. Whenever they're in space, on the space station or, in this supposed flight, they always have a long-haired girl flipping around with her hair. This is just a zero-G plane catching a little bit of weightlessness as it takes a parabolic arc. It's all it is. And it's ridiculous.
It sounds like a lot of trouble to go to. I think this is what most people will be thinking. There's a lot. Why?
Yeah, why the lie?
Why
the lie? So why the answer is they're hiding free energy. They're hiding the creator. They're hiding your spirituality. They're hiding more land. They're hiding more resources. They're hiding the knowledge of what's in Antarctica. They're hiding that you are at the center of creation, the center of the universe. They're hiding that you're special. They're hiding the fact that nobody has dominion over you, the fact that you are at the center of creation and your thoughts create your reality. Everyone listening, including you, everything you have in your life is by the way that you think, right? Your thoughts bring in your reality. This world, they don't want you to know what it really is. This world, the universe is conspiring to fulfill your every thought, good or bad. It's conspiring. So everything you have in your life or don't have in your life is because you're pulling it in or blocking it.
What do they get out of it? I mean, I know you've got the list there you went through, but yeah. It's still, they're saving this. They're hiding spirituality for what? For who?
for themselves. They're controlling us. They have us working as their slaves. They never abolished slavery. They just turned us all into slaves and put us in a prison for our mind. We can't see the prison because we think we're on a ball, right? If right now you said, okay, hey, Dave, you're right. It's an extended plane, right? There's more land out there. Then you'd realize that you've been in a prison your whole life and you might stop listening to them. We found a map, Japanese map, 10 centuries old, showing like 30 or 40 extra continents outside of Antarctica. We're in a prison in the middle, just like Truman.
Well, that doodle could be anything. But what? Oh, I forgot my question. That's annoying. How many sort of? You keep referring to them and they. How many of them and or they are there? You know.
Yeah, so this is the Knights of the Round Table, the royal families, the bankers. These are the people that run the world. And it's a very small group. You know, you have the Council of Foreign Relations, you have the Trilateral Commission, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome. You know, and these are the people that run the world. Go look at the corporation charts. All of the big corporations are all owned by just a couple of people. All of the news media is all owned by a couple of people. They control our minds. They separate us from our soul. Our job here, here's you know, and people can believe this or not. I didn't believe it before I discovered that the earth was intelligently designed. I was basically a full-on atheist, if you had to label me. Right. The world is intelligently designed. Therefore, there's a creator. Therefore, there's something special about this place. Therefore, we're special, right? I didn't do this because I want to feel special. I did this because I looked at the facts. I looked at the nonsense of the heliocentric model. So the question, what was the question was,
who are they?
Why all the bother?
Well, why the bother with that? So that's a big one. That sort of surrounds all of it, really, doesn't it? But the round table, that's an interesting one. I thought the Royals would be behind it. They're behind a lot of stuff. Absolutely, and they owned all of the islands that are on the outside of our pond. You know, remember the Falklands War, run by the Crown now. That's right. You know, everything. They're all basically military bases that surround the edge of our pond, so nobody can get to Antarctica. Try going to Antarctica first. You know, you need a couple $1 million and some super skills, and you'll be stopped by military force. You'll be turned around. You'll be sent home, and you'll be put in jail. What about the map that you showed earlier on with the Earth as a flat Earth? Yeah. Whereabouts is the UK and that? Whereabouts is the UK? Yeah. The UK, here, I'll show you one. The UK is right over here. Right here. So on that one, it's sort of, it looks like, is there such thing as north on a flat Earth? Oh, absolutely. So, and this is what proves that the Earth is flat. So the north is the where would the UK be on that one? The UK. So here's the United States, and the UK is right over here. So it's quite in the middle. Would you say? Well, so yeah. So we're the north. Anyone that's north of the equator, we're in the center of the map, and anyone in the south is in the outer southlands. We're in the inner north. They're in the outer south. The magnetic center is at the North Pole. We believe that there's a magnetic mountain there, and I'm showing a compass here. Yeah. I'm showing a compass here, and as I try to push the compass east and west, if I try to push the compass east or west, I have to turn it because that needle always needs to point towards the center. You can do this yourself. Draw a big circle, draw a map on it, put a magnet at the center, and put a compass down, and try to push that compass west. West or east are not a straight line. West and east are circles around a magnetic center. Guess what? This does not prove the Earth is flat because it's the same on a globe. It's the same on a globe. But the problem is, if you try to go straight, right? If I try to dead reckon west, I'm going to go dead reckoning. I'm not going to correct. As soon as I start moving, I'm heading south. Bam. I'm heading south, more south. And that compass should turn a little bit more, but I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center. Every straight line ends up going south. Go ahead. Is there an equator? Yeah, the equator is at the center of the, not at the center. So I'm showing you my app I made to help you learn about flat Earth. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And if you look at the map, there's 3 circles on it. The inner yellow circle is the Tropic of Cancer. The outer yellow circle is the Tropic of Capricorn. And the red line in the middle is the equator. And look, it goes right over, right?
all the land that's in between those two yellow lines, those are the tropics. It's always pretty warm there because the sun never gets far away. The sun migrates in between. I'm jumping it month by month here. 6 months out to the Tropic of Capricorn, and then 6 months back to the Tropic of Cancer. So right now I have it on December, and Australia is having their summer because the sun goes right over Australia. It's high in their sky. But when we look at it from the inner north, right, it's farther away, so it's lower in the sky just due to perspective. And it's cold because it's farther away. But 6 months later, the sun moves back to the Tropic of Cancer, and then it's right closer to us. Here in in America, it goes right over Miami. It goes right over Mexico and California. It's hot in June and July here because the sun is closer. And then the people in the outer south, the sun is farther away from them. It's lower in the sky. Think about this. If we're in the center in the Arctic, the sun is arcing around us. And if we're in the Antarctic outside, the sun is antarcing away from us. It doesn't circle us. It comes towards us and it antarcs away. Antarctic, Arctic. Lot to take in.
That's a lot. That is. Is the sun inside or outside the dome that we're in?
That's a great question. So I believe that the dome is like a lens, and the source of the sun is outside of the lens.
Right. So like a magnifying glass.
Like exactly. So take a magnifying glass, go out in the sun, and and make a dot like you're burning ants. I know that you did it as a kid. Don't deny it. And that looks just like a sun. You did it. Come on, we all did it. So the sun, it'll make like a little sun, but then lift that up 6 inches and it's gone. Well, it's not gone. It's focused at a point in the air. Well, I believe that the sun is being focused in, and it's not a physical object. And we see it, what I call in our personal atmospheric dome. It's right close to us. And there's lots of little experiments that in the app will show you.
Is this the only sort of conspiracy theory that you're in on, David, or do you believe lots of? Would you call yourself a conspiracy theorist?
No, I hate that word. It's ridiculous. The new word for conspiracy theorist is spoiler alert person. Okay, because the difference between a conspiracy theory these days and the facts are about 6 months. Right? I used to be like, they're spraying our skies with chemicals. They're controlling the weather and they're poisoning us and doing all sorts of stuff. And that was a conspiracy theory. Now they admit that they're doing it. Okay. So that's not a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy, the word conspiracy has been tied to theory by the CIA when the JFK assassination nonsense happened. And they've demonized it. So you say conspiracy, everyone's like, oh, theory. No. Conspiracy, you and I are in a conspiracy right now. We have conspired to do a podcast and to talk to people. That is a conspiracy. When two or more people conspire together to do something for their benefit. Okay, that's a conspiracy, right? Then we could say, well, why are those people doing it? That's a theory, but then you can prove it. And all the stuff that I've looked into, they've all come true, every single one of them. So am I a conspiracy theorist? No, I'm a truth seeker.
You didn't. You said that briefly there about JFK. That was rubbish.
Yeah.
Is that?
I'm not the JFK guy. There's tons of people that have done a lot of work. There's a lot of arguments. Was he really shot? Was he in on it? Well, but if you look at the facts, the crazy magic bullet. Who was there watching it when it happened? Why did all these things happen? That's one that I really don't dive into because so many people have done so much work on it. But there's, plenty of other nonsensical things like the thing that happened in New York. I don't want to say the name because of the censorship now. They're censoring all of this stuff. The thing that happened in New York had nothing to do with airplanes or terrorists in other countries.
What do you are you full-time flat earthing? Doing podcast?
I had what I thought I was happy, the American dream. I grew up, went to college, worked in corporate America. Then I started my own company. And you know what? When I worked in corporate America, I said, you know what? I want my own company. You know what a vision board is? I thought it was foo-foo stuff. And, you write down the things that you want in your life and you put pictures up. And I did it. And I said, I want to be the CEO of my own company. And I kind of laughed at myself. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to even be a CEO. That's crazy, right? I was in the solar power business and working for a big solar power company. And then I ended up 5 years later, I had my own solar power company, commercial development solar power company with a couple of partners. And I was the CEO. I was doing the books. I'm like, whoa, it happened. It like came out of nowhere because I allowed it to come into my life. And then I'm making more money than I ever thought I could make. And then something said, Dave, walk away from this. None of it's going to matter if people don't wake up. The world is in tyranny right now. We're going down. We're going into the dark ages. We're going through the Great Reset. Happens every 100 years, and I can show it to you. And if we don't do something to take it back, it's not going to be pretty. And we're going to go through this cycle again and again and again. And I walked away from it all to talk to people like you or anyone else that's willing to listen.
Yeah, and I'm willing to listen. I think it's really interesting. I just wondered what you sort of do in your spare time. Do you like sort of switch off at 5 o'clock and play golf or something?
I don't play golf. I kite surf whenever it's windy. I'm working from my home here. So I have lots of freedom. I like going on the water. I live on the Long Island Sound, so I do enjoy myself, but I do interviews every day. I try not to do them on the weekend, although I did 3 this weekend. Whoops. Why doesn't that stop ringing? I did.
I don't know. It's interesting though. I just wondered if you just sort of wonder sometimes, what difference does it make if it is flat or round? I mean, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying doing my kite surfing. Who cares?
Yeah, no, I do care because the power that we have, the world that we can have, they're robbing us every way. They make us, you have most people, their life is they luckily, if they're lucky enough to own a home and a car, and then they use the car to drive them to a cubicle or wherever to slave all day, 40, 60, 80 hours a week, so they can drive home to pay for the house that they were. And then on the weekends, maybe you watch some sports games, you drink some beer to numb yourself. You watch some television program, television programming.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And then they program your mind, then you go back to work. And then luckily, if you're old, when you're older and, can retire, hopefully, and you're too tired and old and sick because of all of their nonsense that they've fed you and stuck into you to enjoy it. So that's not the life that I want.
But if everyone said, right, game on, the earth is flat, what would change? I mean, surely people would still do that.
So great question. And that's what I said when I was like, well, who cares what shape the earth is? It's not the shape, it's the lie. So there are now tens of millions of flat earthers and growing rapidly every day.
Have you converted many? You've converted a few?
I've converted, I can't count. There's probably millions now because I'm doing lots of shows. I go on shows where people don't believe in the flat earth. There's lots of flat earth groups. Love them. Love flat earthers. They're the greatest people in the world. All flat earthers are amazing. I'm going to a conference. It's going to be 500-600 people in October. This is the third one in South Carolina for anyone that's listening. And I always say, if I dropped a roll of $100 bills on the floor by accident, I am positive somebody would return it to me. Even if it didn't have, they find out who lost it and it would be returned to me. All flat earthers are awesome people. For some reason, when you understand that you're at the center of creation, you become less nihilistic. You become more like, hey, we're all here together. Our goal here on this, our mission is to maintain control of our soul, right? Our soul is a spark of the creator that's within us. And we're here to expand the mind of the creator. So there's a couple simple rules. Don't break anyone else's free will and don't sell your soul. That's it.
So your main target audience is people obviously that don't believe in flat earth. I love talking. Convert them, and you keep your hand on your wallet when you're at those conferences, I'm guessing.
I don't go to those conferences. I don't even talk. I don't say that. Anyone that actually talks to me and actually listens, right? The thing is, people are they don't know how to think. They've got us in what I call the Twitter mentality, or the Snapchat mentality. If it's under, 240, if it's over 240 characters, they can't comprehend it. And if it, and that once they watch it, it disappears like Snapchat, right? So you have to understand flat earth. It's not about, I don't believe the earth is flat. I know it's flat. I know it's not a ball. Okay. We're trying to figure out the construct of this place. It's wild. And I've never been bored. In the last 6 years, there is not 1 second of boredom ever. Even if I'm stuck in a massive traffic jam, there's always something to listen to. There's always somebody to talk to. There's always something to learn, and I'm learning all the time.
Do you think everyone's sort of brainwashed and you've seen the light then?
Oh, there's so much more. The rabbit hole is so much deeper. When you start, you probably never even heard the word Tataria, have you?
No, it sounds like a good film then.
Yeah, well, Tataria was an advanced civilization that was here in the 1800s, and who knows for how many centuries before that, a worldwide super advanced civilization that built most of the incredible buildings that are still here. And we're told they were built by settlers that had horses and buggies, when today with our biggest cranes and our best construction crews, we couldn't build them. We couldn't move the blocks. We couldn't do the construction the way they did it.
Like the pyramids?
Well, the pyramids, that's one. That's one. But in most towns and villages, go to Prague. Look at all the buildings there. They were built by giants. There's no question about it. Go look at here in the United States. There's so many buildings that are built on top of buildings. There was a cataclysm called a mud flood. Look up mud floods, Tataria. And there underneath our Capitol building is another building, just like the Capitol below it. What's that doing underground? Okay. There's so much it's not a belief. It's like, wow, what is this? How did this happen? That's what we're trying to figure out. So the Great Reset happened in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The whole thing about the San Francisco fires, that's nonsense. It's all a lie. Go look at the World's Fairs, what was really going on there. That was the takeover of our world. And then they threw us into the world wars and the depression, and they literally reset everyone. They reset the world and they put us on a new timeline. Their history, his story. Okay. The history is a lie. All of it's a lie. And once you see this,
I'm a deer in the headlights. I'm sat here most of the interview, just my mouth's open.
I get it. So here's the thing. They're censoring the crap out of this. They don't want you to know. And I don't know how much longer the stuff will stay on the internet. I was making a healthy 6-figure salary at my own company, right? I had lots of freedom. I walked away from it all. I'm selling the app for $3 because the app cost me thousands of dollars a month to run. Okay. It's a one-time charge, and it will show you everything that you need to know. When you're looking for, you say, all right, and the challenge I have is, every day on the app, there's a featured video, bottom left-hand corner. You click the featured video, and it'll show you another short video. Short videos during the week, longer ones on the weekend. And then I say, watch it for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, if you still think the earth is a globe, I'll give you 3 Bitcoins. But before you send me your question, you have to click the question mark, and up come all the questions. Hey, what about eclipses? What about gravity? What about seasons, which we talked about? What about ships over the horizon? If I click what about ships over the horizon, up comes a playlist that you'll never find. Videos that YouTube will not show you. Videos that show you why you think you see ships going over the horizon. Okay. And you're not. But YouTube will not show you these videos. There's tons of stuff. If you hit the web button, there's all sorts of other resources. Biblical Flat Earth. If you're into biblical stuff, even if you're not, watch those videos. Mind-blowing. Bottom right, mud floods, Tataria. Here in the United States, across the world, transcontinental railroads weren't built like they told us. They were excavated out of the mud.
This is wild, David. I mean, we've come to the end of our time. And you were right. I got plenty more questions. We could sit here for ages. If you ever come to England, you give me a ring, and we'll have a beer.
There's a lot of there was a bunch of conferences until this nonsense started. Yeah. So in England, there's tons of flat earthers. But just look it up. My YouTube channel is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, just DITRH. DITRH, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH, short videos right there. My app is called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's in Google Play. You need operating system 8.0 or higher. They're going to serve you one by the Flat Earth Society. It's the Ron Media Group. That's not my app. Don't send me saying your app sucks. Don't send me an email because it's not my app. My app is the highest rated app in both app stores. And iPhone, you need an iPhone 6 or better, or an iPad. And just if you're worried about spending the $3 on the app, don't buy the app. Just read the reviews. The reviews will turn you into a flat earther.
Dave, okay? Thanks very much. I appreciate your time. You're an interesting character, if nothing else. I don't know if you've quite turned me.
All right. Well, before we go, one question.
Yeah.
What is your number one reason you think the Earth is a globe?
I think there's too many. I don't think I've got number one.
You have one. Can you give me one?
Yeah, I think it's just what I've been brought up to believe. I think
So you were told by a guy in a bow tie, Mr. Lying
scientists.
guy in the bow tie, Bill Nye, and now you just believe it. Fantastic.
Yeah, I would say that's got to be number one. But there's too many things with the seasons, the way that the climate works, and the thing there. I think it's not the case.
You haven't thought it through. Seasons make zero sense on a ball Earth, and the whole tilt of the Earth. If you look into it on the app, hit "What About Seasons?" Watch the videos there, and then you'll understand.
All right. Thanks very much, David. Appreciate your time.
All right, man. Thanks.
Cheers,
See ya.